Here we go. It's another edition of the 50/50 podcast, the 50/50 podcast presented by Physical Athletics, our proud partners, Physical Athletics. You can find them, for those of you in the local borderland region here in El Paso, you can find them at 2270 Joe Battle Boulevard. You can also find them on all social media platforms at Physical Athletic. That's FYZICAL Athletic. And you can also find them on their website at physicalathletics.com. My next guest, he is part of the, I guess you could almost say the Southwest region, right? It's in the name of the school. So he is the head women's soccer coach at the University of Southwest, which is located in Hobbs, New Mexico. Coach D'Angelo Garcia. Coach, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We're excited to have you here. Thank you for your time. You ready to have some fun?
Let's rock and roll. I'm ready.
All right. Here we go. All right. So before we kind of dive in, kind of get going with the questions and whatnot, and really kind of diving into just in terms of, we're going to talk today, obviously, about your program, but also kind of peel back some of the layers a little bit in terms of the NAIA, right? The classification, the conference that you play in. A lot of people, we get to this stage and you have a lot of parents that may not necessarily, or even student athletes, obviously, they don't know what it is, right? They're just so used to NCAA. So we're going to look at that. But before we dive into that, Coach, tell us a little bit about just your general experience, your background, what kind of led you to the University of Southwest and your program. Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah. So born and raised in Artesia, New Mexico, right down the road from us, about an hour away. Played soccer for, 4 years there in high school. Then got a scholarship offer to Wayland Baptist University. So I was there from 2012 to 2016. 2016 won the first ever conference championship, making our way to the national tournament, which was, phenomenal. And the year after, actually was, offered an opportunity to be a graduate assistant on the men's soccer side here at University of the Southwest, coaching the men. So I did that for a year, specializing in the goalkeepers and, the other duties, that the head coach wanted me to do. And that summer, the summer of 2018, I was, offered the women's soccer job to be the head coach. But I was only offered to be the interim. So I guess the university, they wanted to, take their time and throughout the hiring process. However, that first year, the interim year, we didn't win anything, but we did have a successful record. So we had over a 500 record. We made it to the first round of the Red River Athletic Conference tournament, which was really, great. I mean, in terms of, I've never, took the control of a program. That was my first year coaching women, and I thought it was awesome. So the school decided to finally make me full time. Right after that, and so the year after that, in 2019, I guess you can consider it my first real year of coaching. We actually made it to the final of the Red River Athletic Conference tournament, winning that, making our way into the national tournament. So, it's been a neat experience so far, and I've been here ever since. And, it's definitely, something that I enjoy doing, and I'm very thankful for having an opportunity to be here.
Right. And, for our listeners that may not be aware, I know you're a big chunk of our listeners, not all of our listeners, but a big chunk of our listeners are obviously out of the state of Texas. So they didn't really have to deal with a lot of, whether it be college coaches, high school coaches, student athletes, parents, what have you. They didn't really have to deal with a lot of the constraints and restrictions that you all had in the state of New Mexico. Can you elaborate a little bit on that in terms of how did that, just obviously you didn't play a fall season, but how did that impact just everything in terms of the program, as far as just your student athletes, as far as school, campus, and obviously recruiting?
Yeah. So this year, I mean, I'm glad it's over with, to say the least. in the fall, I'll kind of backtrack, starting in the fall of 2020, once COVID was, at its peak, at an all-time high, especially under New Mexico guidelines. So, New Mexico was, pretty much on shutdown, and, we couldn't do anything. So, it was very hard to manage a team, manage, our day-to-day operations, especially not having a season. Now we did have an opportunity to play in the fall. There were some teams in our conference that did play in the fall. However, being in New Mexico, we couldn't, it didn't work out for us. So, but my team, they were still here on campus, following under strict protocol. We had COVID temperatures, or temperatures to test for COVID, and the COVID testing rather. And just, we had a special app on the phone for every single student athlete that they had to check in every morning to list any symptoms they might have. And that was, very, it's easy to kind of manage. However, it was just, doing it every single day. I mean, it kind of took a toll, especially for us coaches here. And shout out to our athletic training staff here. I mean, they did awesome to kind of make us to be on our toes with everything, as well as the NAIA. The NAIA, we had to submit daily forms online to list any, potential COVID, student athletes that had contracted the virus, or any student athletes and coaches that, are under COVID testing. However, if you did a COVID test, you had a quarantine for the designated time. So, with all of that being said, and trying to manage a team that didn't have a fall season, motivation to instill into these girls, it was very hard. We would have trainings daily, and the group gathering from our governor, I think it was, you couldn't have more than 5 per group. So me and my assistant coach would be out there 6 to 8 hours every day with, groups of 5 girls. And if that's what we had to do, that's what we had to do. And so, it was challenging. However, we got the job done. So the next step right after that, we got the fall over with, the girls went home for Christmas break and stuff, things like that. Now, when we came back, our athletic director had a very special, I guess, an idea in some sort of way where New Mexico was still under shutdown. He was, wondering how can we have a season for all the sports, not just women's soccer. His brilliant idea was to relocate us to Sky Ranch, which is a retreat camp near Tyler, Texas, so East Texas. And I remember whenever he proposed the idea to us coaches, we're like, hopefully this works, and I mean, because if it didn't work, we wouldn't have had a season, and there's teams here in the state, I'm not going to name any schools, but that had to shut their season down. And our athletic director said, no, that's not going to happen with us. He's also the head baseball coach, so he truly cares about the student athletes, and he made sure his idea was going to happen. So come spring 2021, we hit the ground running. We had our own preseason. That's when we had our preseason this year. I believe, it was right after Christmas break, early January, in the cold weather outside, running fitness tests, having 2-a-days. And just getting ready for us to have our season and being at Sky Ranch. Now, it was an awesome thing to do, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. However, that was a challenge itself, and the reason why, we were home away from home. We're there for about 3 to 4 weeks. Girls are sleeping on bunk beds. I believe there was only 2 showers for them to kind of share. So they're all conjoined together in a small, not relatively small, but not really big either. They're sharing a bunk bed with a teammate. Eating the same thing every day for lunch and dinner. You're going to their cafeteria that they have, and you're secluded from like the nearest city and little town, so It was fun, and it was also challenging. On top of that, Hector, I'll kind of throw a wrench your way. I was expecting my first newborn too, so
Oh,
um,
wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I actually wasn't there in the beginning until the last weekend. So we were expecting, and the little one, man, he took his time in the oven. So when he finally made his appearance on March 22nd, the day after, you see me going down there to Sky Ranch to be with the team.
Right.
And it happened to be my birthday too that day. So it was a lot of different things going on, and at least the main thing was to have our kids play, the rest of the sports team play, and that was a challenge itself, as well as every single game, since we didn't have a home field, we never had home field advantage. So we had to travel to all of the teams nearby, and and going 7-5, making it to the second, well, we actually made it to the first round. We hosted here actually in Hobbs. New Mexico kind of opened up a little bit. We hosted the first round of the conference tournament against Texarkana. And then, the Final Four is in Texarkana. They host that. So, making it to the second round, playing our rivals down from San Antonio, Texas. Fortunately, we didn't get the result we wanted in overtime. However, I couldn't be more proud than, to the girls on what a season that we all accomplished, so.
Right. Well, congrats on definitely what you can say will be one of a kind season, but more importantly, congrats on your firstborn. Is that right?
Yeah. My first newborn. Yeah. So
yeah. Congrats on the little one to both you and your significant other. That's all. So if I heard you right, he was born on your birthday, so you all share the same birthday?
No, so he was born on March 22nd. I was born on March 24th. So
gotcha.
I told my wife, I said, hey, you gotta wait 2 more days. I mean, as it is, my birthday doesn't even matter now. So I think it'd be cool.
Right. Yeah.
2 more days, but
yeah, he's got dibs. He's got dibs for sure. So
yeah.
All right. Well, that's I imagine going through all of that, you really got put in, or you and especially your squad, your team, you all really had to have gotten thrown in a situation where you guys had to really grow together, and you're away from everything. So kind of, I'm not going to say Spartan-like conditions, but you guys really, it's all of you guys, crammed into a little area there. So really get to know each other and grow as a group together. What would you say when you factor all that in, right? And now as we start to transition on our way out of COVID, because I don't think enough people really factor that in terms of just the people. But, when we really say you all couldn't do anything in the state of New Mexico, you really couldn't do anything. I remember being here in El Paso. We had, New Mexico State, the Aggies, both the men's and women's basketball teams, they played here at UTEP. And then you had, what was it? I know New Mexico State football, they played, I think they had a spring game or a couple of spring games here because they didn't play. They were one of the handful of D1s that chose to play in the spring, so they kind of had to work their magic and be over here in Texas as well. So, but when you factor all that in, Coach, all of those components, everything you talked about, everything you went through, from your squad's perspective, right, your team's perspective, what would you say is now, as we're coming out of COVID, is maybe the biggest positive and negative as we come out of COVID from your squad's perspective?
Yeah. So, I mean, coming out of this, COVID year, and granted, I'm sure you already know, with NAIA, I know NCAA as well, but, everybody's granted their extra that eligibility year. So that year doesn't count, majority of my roster is coming back. A lot of them that the seniors, that we have an excellent grad program here, or excellent grad school here. So they have plenty of programs to choose from, which is really good because, I can also offer, and help out with that with, athletic scholarship money. So, I believe we only lost just a couple. However, majority of them are coming back because, they're hungry, and, having our exit meetings right after the season, hey, coach, they tell me, hey, this season didn't count to me, and I want to come back, I want to come and we need to win, and that's the spirit that the whole team has, not just my upperclassmen, just, everybody all around, just because of what they went through, and it's, Hector, it's so hard to kind of, I could describe it to you. However, it's different because, especially myself, I only spent 3 nights at the ranch because, of my son's arrival. However, just being there and hearing their stories and hearing, what they went through and things like that. Now, I'm not trying to make it seem like it was very bad. They were doing things out there left and right, zip lining and campfires, things like that. But, it kind of built the team,
Right.
it joined them a lot more, and a lot better. The chemistry, is coming along where we want it. Girls are knowing, each, teammate differently and in a good way. They're knowing their personality a lot more, so I pretty much said, it's like a little retreat camp, like a preseason camp. However, we're in season, so that, I think that's the biggest takeaway we can get from that, is just the hunger that the whole team has to report back in August 1st this year. So now the negative, I mean, it's really hard to kind of think of something negatively. I think the only thing that's being there and kind of, just focused on season and getting, making sure the girls are taken care of from day to day, making sure we're getting from point A to point B and playing the games, it kind of, it distracted me from my recruiting, and, and I'm just being honest with you. I couldn't attend soccer showcases because, spring's very, come January, the beginning of January, hey, everybody in Texas, where we have majority of our recruiting from, El Paso, the Metroplex, everywhere, they're starting their high school seasons with tournaments every weekend, and come springtime, all these tournaments are happening everywhere throughout, Texas with the club tournaments, so, that's kind of, I would say, would be, negative, just terms of just, recruiting. And, when we got back and once season, was ended and we got the girls' meetings taken care of and everyone sent home, I mean, it's already, when was it? Already April or middle of April or May, and, I would say, I mean, we did the best we can with highlight and kind of just, sending them virtual tours and stuff like that to our recruits. However, it just took my face and my, assistant coach's face out of the game from attending tournaments,
Right.
So, and that's major for us because we want to be able to see all of our potential student athletes that can compete for us, face to face. So.
Yeah, and I imagine it had to have been tough. Obviously, not only for your girls, but also for you, your coach, and your coaching staff, because in the fall they saw other NAIA teams playing, and they couldn't compete. They couldn't leave the state. They couldn't do anything, or they could leave the state, but then they couldn't come back, right, without quarantining, which defeated a season. And the same thing for you all, right, with which you just hit on with recruiting. So it's definitely got to be tough. I could only imagine. And and that's been one of those. How do you feel you've adjusted to that going forward now that New Mexico's starting to open back up? And I'm sure maybe you've seen some of the backlash that's kind of been out there a little bit amongst clubs and just kind of not really the schools, not really the D1 schools, but there's been a lot of people posting out there that, hey, finally recruiting is open again because the D1 dead period is over. But the reality of it is the D2s a little later, but D3s, the JUCOs and NAIA, they were always there, right? So how do you feel going forward? You will adjust your kind of your recruiting method, your recruiting style, especially when you factor in what you have coming back as well.
Yeah. So and to kind of piggyback about what you said about, once the dead period was officially ended, June 1st, all on my Twitter and was just blown up. Oh, like you said, recruiting's back on again. It's nice to have coaches out here and, all these different, sorts of things that kind of describe about, Division I schools. However, all of us other, university or divisions, Division II, III, NAIA, junior colleges. I mean, it's never ended. The only thing that kind of stopped us from, being, face to face was, obviously COVID and the different, protocols from the, that government, whatever state you're in. So, I try to ignore all of that, and but it kind of shows you of how these generations of kids are kind of either being taught or being I guess talked to about, whatever the case may be, and it's to me, unfortunately, I mean it's just kind of sad to see things like that. However, when we do, I've had plenty of recruits, Hector, before, like it was in April or May, I reach out to recruit, plenty of recruits rather. And, if the responses will, hey coach, your school's too small. Hey coach, I'm waiting for the dead period to end. Hey coach, all of these different sorts of things. And we, as a smaller university, we're not going to, yes, we can look at, for instance, we're recruiting 2021s right now, girls that graduate 2021, right. But we're not looking at 2023s, 2024s. I mean, that's not who, I'm looking either now and next year, and I think, with girls that are waiting, especially girls that are graduating 2021, waiting for, opportunities to play at Division I schools, that's great and dandy. But then, these girls that I reach out to and they, give me that response. And then a month later, hey coach, do you still have a spot? It never fails, so. But moving forward, like I said, majority of my team is coming back, which I'm thankful and blessed for, and which is kind of making recruiting a little less hard for me this year. So I'm putting a lot of time right now into the 2022 class, and we still have a few roster spots open right now for the 2021 that I have some visits lined up along the way, and with moving forward, I think, I mean, we'll be just fine. So, I'm looking forward to it.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, it's great stuff, Coach. And, I know you won't say it, but I'll say it for you. I think for our listeners, for recruits, 2021s that are graduating or have just graduated, if you're still at this point, I mean, there's slim pickings, but if you're still kind of holding out for that quote unquote D1, they're not there. Your D1s of the world, they're looking at your 2022s maybe and beyond, right? 2023s for sure. But as Coach Garcia just mentioned, they're still looking for 2021s there at the University of Southwest. Coach, you talk about, for our listeners, talk a little bit, I know, just briefly, just geographically, your location, Hobbs, New Mexico, because I'm sure a lot of people don't know where that is. Just tell us briefly where that is, and just maybe just a couple of sentences on the actual university. You talked about the academics, what you're strong in, what you're known for as far as academically and majors. What can you tell us on that?
So if you look at New Mexico, you're looking straight at New Mexico, pretend we're right on the, not in the bottom right corner, but just above the bottom right corner. So, I consider it West Texas still. I mean, the state line is literally 5-minute drive, yeah. So, we're right, kind of in the middle of the oil field industry. So, there's, a lot of people think Hobbs is relatively small, and I'll be honest with you, every time I talk to recruits and parents, they always think, hey, Hobbs is not the safest place and this and that, but they also don't understand. I mean, like just El Paso, I'm sure you have a bad, couple of neighborhoods and spots, that's just like how it is here in Hobbs. So we're actually north of Hobbs. I mean, it's still considered Hobbs. However, we're just, kind of out of, in the country a little bit, just north. So we kind of isolated. Our own campus is kind of just off to the, right off the side. Right across the street is the New Mexico Junior College, right down, the street about a mile away. So, we have, you have two institutions, college institutions, right next to each other. So, and kind of, talking about the academic side of things, so we do offer, there's 3 different types of schools here. You have a School of Business, which is I would say our popular, most, enrolled students where, they want some kind of business degree, 2, you have College of Education. So they, offer, you can study, education, special education, secondary education. So for those teachers that want to be, a teacher sometime down the road, that's what you should look at. And also College of Arts and Sciences. So anything from biology to, criminal justice, things like that would kind of fit in that school. So
Yeah.
I would say majority of my girls are in kind of, some, pre-nursing, criminal justice, business, and kinesiology. So
Nice.
kinesiology is a very strong, popular degree here at University of the Southwest, and the grad program. So like, I was kind of mentioning before, the grad school is very popular here as well. So they offer, again, business, arts and science, any kind of, degree that's, that you can kind of, you can either piggyback off your undergrad with, that, we offer. So for those kids that, have dual credits coming out of high school, you can finish your undergrad in 3 years, and that 4th year of eligibility, hey, enroll in grad school, and you'll still be on your soccer scholarship, So it's nothing beats almost a free master's degree, So
Right.
that's what we have to offer.
Yeah. That's awesome. You talk about your location and how close you are to Texas, basically West Texas, kind of near the southern part of the Plains Panhandle, if you will, West Texas. But I mean, it's the same thing with me. I'm 15 minutes. I'm 15 minutes from the New Mexico border where I am as well. But yet you and I are about 3.5 hours apart. That just speaks to how big Texas is.
Right.
But also, it's no mystery, obviously, in our discussions that we've had previously, it's no mystery that you recruit the state of Texas. And you've also, you mentioned DFW, the Metroplex, and you've had a good amount of luck also recruiting out of this area, out of the 915 here in El Paso, and that pipeline that you have here a little bit. Talk a little bit about why, obviously Texas, but also specifically maybe El Paso. What have you found from the players coming out of Texas and out of El Paso, and why do you feel you have good luck with them as well?
I'll give credit to when it's due. So the coach prior before me, Coach Josh Smith, he's now at Rogers State in Oklahoma. He's still a good friend of mine. We still talk weekly. He I guess you would say that he kind of had that foundation of, hey, recruiting from the El Paso, region, the DFW region, anywhere throughout Texas. I mean, Houston, Vegas, however, majority of my roster is, El Paso, and just El Paso is majority of my roster. So, again, all credit to him. He kind of helped get that, build that pipeline, especially with the club coaches there, Coach Donnelly, Coach Hondo, those connections that we have with USW and with them is kind of what helped, build our roster the way it is right now. So, and these type of girls, hey, you can find any, hidden gem there in El Paso. You just got to look, and you got to, attend, either the soccer camps that they might have, or go to high school games, club games that they play, and those are the type of players that I look for, and has done really well for us. I mean, these players, aren't necessarily, you'll have some, every now and then, some size and stuff. However, majority of my roster, we're not the tallest team, and we're not the fastest team. We're not the strongest team, but these girls they can play with the ball. They're very technical, and I think that's what's made us, very successful so far. And we rely on our technicality, kind of helping us with our possession. Building up from the back. Just playing with the ball and just kind of moving off the ball, find these open channels and let's go score. So those are the type of players that we've had for the past few years, and that's what we continue to look for. So
nice. Okay, so the NAIA, right? Why should it be? Tell us a little bit more about it, and just why should it be more considered by more student athletes? And if you could give like one key difference between NAIA and the NCAA for some of our listeners, what would it be?
So the key difference, I mean, I would say, just the way the campus and enrollment is structured, right? So with NAI, you're going to have your smaller, majority of your smaller private institutions, whether it's Christian based or just, it can be a public NAIA school. As majority of our teams in our conference are that way, state funded schools, that are NAIA, and a lot of kids, especially now, that have no idea. All they see is, hey, it's like Under Armour and Gildan, or some brand, that no name brand that no one wants, right? But hey, I want that Under Armour shirt. That's the way I think that some of these kids think. Hey, NCAA, NAI. Hey, it's an NCAA school. I want to go there. Especially, hey, what's the top level? Division I. I want to go there. And when in reality, the parents and kids have no idea about the difference, and to put it this way, I mean, Hector, we play so many NCAA institutions every year in, year out. We play Division II Lubbock Christian every year. We play UTPB in Odessa every year. We played UTEP a couple years ago at UTEP. We played Texas Tech this spring. We play Abilene Christian down the road from us in Abilene, which is the Division I. We tied Sam Houston State down in Huntsville, Texas 2 years ago. We tied 2-2, so I think some of these kids just need to realize the realization of there's no difference unless, there is some differences. However, when it comes to playing, there's really no difference. However, if you have a Power 5 school and an NAIA school, majority of the time, we all can probably see, guess who's going to win that game. However, with some of the mid-major schools to the lower end of the Division I, we can compete with, and Division II as well. I mean, Lubbock Christian, my good friend Alex is going to hate me, the coach there, but they came here and we got the result we wanted, 1-0 at home, I believe 2-1, I believe. Sorry, it's fortunate that I don't remember that, but to kind of describe the differences. I'm sure there's others, funding and enrollment's huge. It's about the one of the differences. I'm sure there's other differences. However, there's, when it comes to ball playing, a lot of the kids these days just chase that label, and it's I wish they can, some of them think otherwise, and I deal with kids that, hey, coach, I'm going to this one school, which is a bigger school than us, but okay, well, are you going to play there, or are you just going to sit the bench? However, if you play here, I know you can probably be a first team all conference player for us, and what do you want to do? You choose your poison, and then the following year they're in the transfer portal,
Right.
and I have no connection with that, but I hear these things, all us coaches talk. And so when they see someone, hey, someone off your roster's on there, well, or someone that you're recruiting is on the transfer portal from this school that they chose, it's just, I just want kids, especially parents that may see this and come across this, NAI and NCAA, unless you're speaking Power 5 schools, there's really no difference other than, again, obviously geographical location, the school name, the program, that, the money, the packaging that you might get financially, with academics or athletic, whatever it is. However, the competitiveness is nearly the same. So,
yeah, it should go without saying, but in terms of, so many people tend to not be very familiar with NAIA. So I'll mention it. I've seen on, the level of play, at the NA, in the NAIA is pretty exceptional. I've seen some incredible play on both sides, on both the men's and women's sides of the house, and on. I can probably count on more than probably a dozen occasions from what I've seen, and going to different games. I've seen an NAIA get the result and get a victory over a group, either whether you want to call it a D1 mid major, a very high level D2, a mid major, group of 5 D1, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, on more than probably a dozen occasions. So yeah, absolutely. In sticking with NAIA, what would you say is maybe the one biggest misconception, when you're going through that recruiting process and you're trying to educate people on not just on University of Southwest, but also the NAIA? What's maybe the one biggest misconception you battle about the NAIA?
From like a recruiter standpoint, or like the student that I'm recruiting, like they're thinking.
Yeah, just trying to educate them on, hey, what's the NAIA? It's like, I thought you're not. You mean to tell me you're not NCAA coach? What is the NAIA? Like, what's that biggest maybe misconception? Like they think that you're just and maybe you already hit on it, but the one biggest thing that always comes up that you feel you have to educate student athletes or maybe parents regarding the NAIA. Is there one particular thing that's just a big misconception?
Again, I think, personally, I'm still young. I'm barely 27. So this is actually my 4th year coming into, this season. However, what I've experienced, once you kind of tell them, hey, well, hey coach, what division are you? Hey, we compete in the Red River, and we're in the NAIA. And that right there, once I kind of say that, it's either, okay, hey, I want to keep talking and kind of get to know, what your school and program's about, or 2, hey coach, I either get ghosted, which I'm used to now,
yeah,
or 2, coach, your campus is too small, or I want to go to a bigger campus. And to be honest with you, I've lost a few recruits where they would rather go to Texas Tech to go just study and not play for an NAIA school. They'd rather go to Texas A&M or New Mexico State just to study and not play collegiate soccer for an NAIA institution and get a degree, hopefully within the 4 years they're here. That's what they would rather choose. So I guess, to say the least, I believe just, going back to kind of what we mentioned before, just the branding. What I value about the NAIA, they're very big into, I guess, just encouraging practicing character, integrity, responsibility, toughness, just all these different things. The NAIA that's what they're truly about. And so very big into oh my goodness, I just lost sight of track. Giving back to the community, community service. That's what I was thinking of. Community service, and just giving back to others, kind of just helping out whatever event might be happening this weekend, going out to Habitat for Humanity and helping them with whatever project they're doing, actually I'm in charge of overseeing the whole community service for all the sports here. We have to find some type of, we have a certain number of events we have to do every year, and that's the minimum. We can do more if we want to, so that's what the NAIA is truly about. And we submit all of that to the NAIA, and we have to, just because you're on a college team doesn't mean it's all fine and dandy and you just come and play and that's it. We're constantly busy throughout the year. Even during season, hey, we might have a game on Thursday and this weekend you can't go home if whatever reason, but we have to meet at Habitat for Humanity, at this location at 8 a.m. It's like that. So and that's one of my biggest things too with recruits. That's one of the questions that they ask the most, like, hey, do y'all do community service? Do y'all like, do we give, go out and help one another, things like that. So that's what the NAIA is primarily about. Now, however, on the flip side of things, the NAIA, I'll tell you this: the NAIA is not as strict as NCAA. So NCAA, I'm not very familiar with all those rules because I believe every division might have different rules, and so to speak. However, the NAIA does enforce rules and things like that, and bylaws with soccer and stuff. However, it's not as binding or I guess strict. I don't know how else to say it.
Right.
In terms of
restrictive. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's for sure. I think that's within the coaches. I think coaches understand that for sure, and it's explaining that to student athletes. We could also dive into that, and that could probably be a whole separate episode, right? So you mentioned it a little while ago. You play, your school. You play in a very strong soccer conference. The RRAC, the Red River Athletic Conference. What tell us a little bit about it and just some of the members and just what you've noticed in your time there, and you're describing it to maybe to a student athlete that wants to come compete.
Yeah. So if you like traveling and you want to travel far, hey, we're the team to come to because we're the most Western team in our conference. So I know other schools hate coming out here. I believe the closest schools that have our opponent, right, is in the Dallas, the metro. I mean, that's still a 6-hour drive, 7-hour drive on a bus. We stop for lunch, 8-hour drive, So I would say that's the closest. Then we have our rivals down in San Antonio, Our Lady of the Lake, and Huston-Tillotson in Austin. You have Houston, Victoria, and Victoria, Texas. You have Louisiana State, Shreveport, and Shreveport, Louisiana. Louisiana State, Alexandria and Alexandria. Then you have Texarkana on the border of Arkansas and Texas, and kind of a little more, a couple other teams throughout the region in Texas. However, the RRAC decided to add 3 more institutions to our conference this year. So they added another Louisiana school, Louisiana College, Xavier University. However, Xavier doesn't have women's soccer. And then Texas A&M San Antonio, down in San Antonio, obviously.
Right.
So all these Texas schools and 3 Louisiana schools, and then us by ourselves in New Mexico, So if you love to travel and I mean that's what it consists of throughout our conference. So
right. And I believe A&M San Antonio, I think, finally starts competing this fall. Is that correct?
Correct.
If I understand that correctly. What's been what's the longest trip, or what will be the longest trip? Is it Texarkana, Alexandria? Which one is it?
From conference or just, I guess, all throughout, like regular season?
From your location in conference. Like, what's your longest trip?
Alexandria. Oh my goodness. Oh, yeah.
What's that? 10 hours? It's gotta be what?
No. I wish it was 10 hours. So it takes about, I would say, on a charter, about 12 to 13 hours to Alexandria.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, because we think about it, Hector. I mean, our men's team travels with us as well. So so we usually stop in Dallas for a quick lunch, and and then the bus driver, they're limited to a maximum of 10 hours of driving the day. So but usually we don't play Alexandria right away. We'll play Shreveport, so we'll probably stop there, and stay a couple nights and play them, and then go down to Alexandria. But it's about a 12-13 hour drive on a bus to Alexandria. So I would say that's a brutal trip. I mean, it's easy. All you do is I-20 all the way down, but it's pretty long.
All right. Wow. All right. Well, Coach, as we start to transition here, tell us what, as you look forward, right? You're going to have a very short summer, obviously. You played. You had a tough spring season that you played. Have the summer, and now you're getting ready to go back into it in the fall. What has you the most excited, and what can we maybe expect from University of Southwest women's soccer this fall?
To be honest, I mean, the most excited I'm about is that we're going to have, knock on wood, but we're going to have a normal season, hopefully. If everything is with COVID, hopefully everything continues to, go down a little bit. But that's what I'm so excited about, is having a normal preseason, girls moving in dorms and just having that every day-to-day operation with training and games and scrimmages and, traveling, not having to travel to everybody. We can host games now where, where some of these players, their families can come watch, and friends and brothers and sisters, just kind of getting back to the normalcy of things. That's, I mean, it's start, hopefully not when everything, when we start. I mean, it's going to be a good 2 years since we've had normalcy. So that's, and I know the girls are so excited. They're super eager to get started. And, I know they're hungry. Whoever's watching, a conference, my team's hungry, and they want to come back. They want to play, and they want to compete, and they want to win ball games. And I know it's not always about winning. However, no one wants to lose either. So,
right.
I guess we want to prove ourselves, and the girls want to prove themselves that, hey, this year, we were going through a lot, and we had so many obstacles and challenges thrown our way. Now we're back to normal, so let's hit the ground running, and let's go show them what USW women's soccer is about.
Gotcha. Well said. You in talks with the AD about trying to take them back out to the ranch for like a preseason this year, maybe to redo that team bonding, that team building there?
I actually thought about that, but I don't think my girls would be too happy with that. So maybe not Sky Ranch. No, I'm just teasing. Maybe not Sky Ranch, but hopefully we can do something. I've had different ideas, maybe find somewhere maybe that's closer to home a little bit, where we can just go and enjoy ourselves and kind of just build that team chemistry. And as a matter of fact, I mean, there's a nice golf course right across the street from us, and they have foot golf. So they have these big old holes that you can kick a soccer ball in. So we've done that. I haven't done that with them. However, I've done that with the men's team. So, but I plan to do some stuff like that to kind of break the ice a little bit, kind of get everybody to relax, have fun, and then that way we can have a smooth preseason come August. So,
gotcha. Yeah, no, for sure. Wish you the absolute best with that. All right, Coach. Well, hey, we know you're going to stick around here for our second segment. We're going to bring you back for counterattack, where we get to pick on you a little bit, make fun of you maybe a little bit, and laugh at your expense. So for our listeners, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Coach Garcia from University of the Southwest. And welcome back to the 50/50 podcast presented by Physical Athletics, our proud partners, Physical Athletics. You can find them on all social media platforms at Physical Athletic. That's FYZICAL Athletic, as well as on their website at physicalathletics.com. All right, so we're back with the head women's soccer coach of the University of Southwest Mustangs, Coach D'Angelo Garcia. All right, Coach, you ready?
Let's get it.
All right, let's get after it. All right, so rituals or superstitions regarding just everyday training session or game days as a coach, not as a player. As a coach. Okay,
well, I thought you were asking maybe a like superstition, that some weird superstitions I may have before games or something. So what were you asking?
Yeah, just you have any particular superstitions that maybe you do on game day, or or on just every training session? Or a ritual, things that you kind of try to stick to?
So yeah. So for those that are listening, might think I'm a little weird. However, it started when I was a player, and I've had so many superstitions, and I just stick with them. So, however, and some of them might just be, like for instance, I always had to have right before kickoff, I have to put a new piece of gum, the same gum every game. I have to wear my shades regardless if it's a night game. I either have them on my head, but my shades are on. So that's another superstition. If for some, when we have our first win that season, that first win, whatever outfit I'm wearing, now obviously I'm going to wash it, but I'm going to stick to that as well. So and for shoes, I have so many pairs of shoes. It's not even crazy. It's not even funny. So if I wear a certain pair of shoes and it's like a red and we lose, hey, I'm not wearing red the next game. So, things like that. I mean, they're all silly. However, it's I'm just, I don't know about a believer, but that's just, it's in my head. So.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing the stuff that sticks with us from our playing days, right? And they just continue as coaches, or we develop new ones as a coach. But yeah, interesting. Something we have in common. I have the exact same thing regarding gum. gum
Yeah.
before every game. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm by no means on his level, but I'm just like Sir Alex Ferguson, who I'll wear out a piece of gum during a game by halftime. Really. Yeah.
What flavor of gum? What kind?
I go through. Usually, I have them right here. I have. So I use one of two. Either here's a shameless plug here. Extra.
Hey, that's the same gum that's
extra refreshers, the spearmint.
Yep.
Or I do what I've done for a long time is the icebreakers, the ice cubes, peppermint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one of those two.
I think I might. No, I don't have it with me, but I have. Yeah, I do the same extra spearmint. I've been living by that since 8th grade, and I won't change my gum flavor. So,
yeah. So extra spearmint. If you're listening, you want to, sponsor a podcast. Here we go. Just gave you a free plug.
We're right here.
There you go. Awesome. All right. Emojis. Are you an emoji guy? Yes or no?
Sometimes. I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess with the soccer ball, when we make tweets and stuff like that, and the Mustang. But yeah, other than that, I mean, and the heart next to my wife. So I mean, that's about it.
There you go. Yeah. Smart man. Good answer. Yeah. All right. Last book you read.
Goodness. I don't necessarily do books. However, I listen to podcasts more than reading books. But the last book that I've read was, I believe it was, Sir Alex Ferguson's, that book he kind of came out with a few years ago.
Was it Winning?
I don't remember.
That's the last one of his. That was the last one of his that I read was Winning.
Okay, it might have been.
I know there's been a few out, obviously. Okay, good.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll say it was that one.
Yeah. All right. We'll come back. Second part of my question, which you just hit on. What's last podcast you listened to? We know you're a hardcore 50-50 podcast listener, but aside from us, last podcast you listened to.
So yeah, I let's see. Shout out to Gary Kernine, his
nice.
books, the books he has. But yeah, I have another third one. I don't know where it's at. However, I love his podcast and what he, the guests he brings in, and what he has to talk. I've learned so much, and it's nice to have and create these ideas from other college coaches and coaches that kind of been in the game for so long. It's nice to kind of build your own ideas and kind of culture your own thoughts. So
yeah, the MSC, the Modern Soccer Coach podcast.
The Modern Soccer Coach.
Yeah, great content for sure. All right, so a soccer specific question here. What is your favorite? So pro, college, you can't say University of the Southwest. All right, what favorite and least favorite soccer team?
Oh goodness. So I was raised with being a big Ronaldo fan, so I follow him everywhere. However, I'm not a big Juve fan. But when he was at Madrid, I fell in love with Madrid. So, but my very first player that I actually admired was Thierry Henry when he was at Arsenal. So long ago when I was still a kid. But I would say Madrid's who we root for, and I have a picture here too of me and my wife at Santiago Bernabeu. So
nice.
Yeah. So we on our vacation we got to experience that, and then we got to experience visiting the Camp Nou 3 days after. So and I would say that's probably my least favorite team. So
I knew when I first met you, I knew you were a man of integrity. I knew you were a man. I'm also a big Real fan. Kind of grew up. It was bred into me growing up. Big Ronaldo fan as well. I mean, love Messi. Don't get me wrong, obviously, but I think comparing them to I stopped seeing the point in that a long time ago because they're two totally different type of players, and I just started enjoying the fact that then I'm able to watch their entire careers, both of them. So they're exceptional players. And
even though I'm not a Barcelona fan, but I got this at Camp Nou, and that's real grass from the stadium.
Oh, nice.
So
there you go. Yeah.
That's the only Barcelona thing you'll see me have.
Yeah, we're plugging all kinds of products here today. All right. Yeah, speaking of that, today, speaking of the Santiago Bernabeu, I retweeted that on my personal account. I retweeted I don't know if you saw it. There's like they put out earlier today. They put out like a 45-second video of what the stadium's going to look like when the construction is done.
It's insane.
Yeah, very different. Very different.
I'm so glad that we got to experience of the original, how it looked before.
Yeah.
You know, I told my wife, hey, when they get this thing done, we're gonna go back. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right, Coach. So you are made the czar of soccer in America, right? You're it. You're the everything. Whatever you say goes, right? You're put in charge of all of it. What's one thing you'd change, in soccer at whatever level, whether it's youth, college, pro, whatever? What's the one thing you'd change tomorrow?
Yeah, you did give me on the spot with that one. Any level, I guess. Like if I was just the main guy and I can do whatever.
Yeah, you oversee all of soccer in America. First thing you'd change tomorrow.
Oh goodness. Ooh, man, that's tough. I think one of the biggest things is I guess let's make, in order for U.S. soccer to grow and for us to continue, granted the national team got a big win the other night, but if we want to compete at the world stage, once the World Cup comes around and, sending players, to the Premier League, the La Liga, the, Serie A, all the Bundesliga, all these different types of environments and leagues, we got to kind of figure out of where that needs to begin. And if we, I'm sure we both know the answer, but, if these kids overseas, they're starting in academies that, they can barely walk pretty much, not necessarily, but however, they're young and I'm sure it costs some money, but, I think with the way things are ran here in the States, starting at the youth stage, it's, I guess, people think more of how to make more money than actually helping the youth out a little more. So how can we make and push the youth to kind of, pursue what they love to do and make it budget friendly and let's make these different academy teams. And I know there's academy teams with MLS and things like that, but and let's push. And also too, I'll add another one, let's women's soccer, how can we grow women's soccer after they're done playing college? Because, if you think about it, 90% of the girls that play college, if you're not a Power 5 school, you're not really going, professionally, unless you go overseas somewhere, which is good, which is really good still. But how can we change that? So if I was in charge, those two things, I would definitely get my foot and hit the ground running and try to make these things, and I'm sure there's a lot more if I, kind of just think about a little bit, but those are kind of the two things I would kind of stick to. So
right, yeah, with both of us coaching on the women's side of the house and having coached at the at the women's college level as well, I could not agree with you more on the women's game for sure. Absolutely, well said.
More opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Who would they're making a movie about your life, right? Who would play? What famous actor out there would play you in a movie?
Well, it better have to be a nice body first of all. So they can't have somebody that just slammed 12 tacos down or something like that, Goodness. Well, one of my favorite actors, well, he doesn't look like me either, but I love Leonardo DiCaprio. He's probably, he's always been one of my favorite actors. Ben Affleck's one of my other favorite actors. Mark Wahlberg's also. So I'll probably have to spin the ball on that. And hey, you're playing me in this movie. So
there you go. Sweet. All right, those are pretty good choices there. All right. Besides going back to the Santiago Bernabeu, what's a bucket list destination for you and the family before it's all said and done? Bucket list destination for you. Bali.
We love. Nice. Yeah, so we were actually supposed to go there last summer, but COVID hit, so we had to rechange our plans.
Of course.
But it's still on our bucket list. That's still where we want to go, and we're going to make it happen hopefully soon. So I would say, if I were to die next week or whatever, I need to go to Bali and go see it for myself. So I love the ocean. We love the beach.
That's awesome. Good. That's a first. That's a first for sure on this one. So that's good. So out of everything you've seen, everything you've binge watched this in the last 15 months, right, since the pandemic started, Netflix series or on any other platform, what's been your favorite one that you've watched?
Oh goodness. Oh man. I think didn't Jose Mourinho's Tottenham documentary just come out on Prime?
All or Nothing.
I love those. I've seen the Pep Man City one probably 5 times. Like it's so good. But I would probably say the Tottenham one was up there too. Yeah. So that was probably one of my favorites that I've seen. I love documentaries. I like kind of getting the behind the scenes look of things and getting to know how Mourinho is and thinks, and the players, the camaraderie that they kind of build in the locker room, and just getting a firsthand glance of how things are ran at the biggest stage. I love seeing that. I love watching that. And the next thing I've been wanting to watch was that new documentary with Alex Ferguson. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it either. Yeah.
So I've been wanting to see that, but I like other Netflix shows. I love. This is very, I'm being very honest, but I love the Narcos Netflix, stuff. El Chapo, Narcos Mexico. I love that stuff. Pablo Escobar. Just I like the action, and I know it's not the best things to watch, but I like seeing those things. So
no, but they're good. They're dramatic. They're very good. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, really good.
Okay, invisible or super strength? Super strong. Which one?
Super strong.
So you'll go with super strong. All right. That was a quick one. Good. All right.
Yeah.
Funniest that you can share. Funniest moment that you can recall in training or in a game from one of your players, one of your coaches, something.
Oh man. So it's probably not it is the funniest, but it's very embarrassing for me. I believe it was 2 years ago. We were playing at home, and our ref, for some reason, the middle ref, he just made a terrible call. And I know, it's one of those things where it's like, you're just being biased or whatever, but it was, at least to me, it was a very bad call. And I didn't have my shoes tied. So I went to go I punted the soccer ball as hard as I could and as high as I could. And my shoe just went flying onto the field.
Oh, nice.
And I sent my assistant to go get it, and I know it was very bad, and I apologized and stuff, and I was very embarrassed. But I mean, there was nothing I could do from that point on.
No red card on that one.
No. I think he actually cautioned me, but I didn't get a red card. I've never gotten a red card, so.
No, straight red. You didn't get sent back to the locker room with just one shoe, nothing like that.
No. he just cautioned me, and yeah. So I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah. All right. Good. All right, Coach. Last one. This one I ask of everybody. Okay, so, pandemic's over. It's completely in the clear. You got family coming in, out of town family. Everybody. You got your coaching staff, your team. Everybody's coming over. Big Sunday dinner. You're the chef. What are you cooking?
Mexican food, baby. Come on now. That's hey, I love all types of food. I'm not picky. I love seafood. I love, Italian, but hey, Mexican food, if I was, I can live off that every day. And specific, tacos, soft tacos with pico de gallo and avocado, that's all I need. And roasted jalapeno, I'm good. So
I was about to ask you, because my wife's from Albuquerque, right? So I was going to ask you, in your neck of the woods out there, are you a green chili guy?
Green chili all day. Yeah. Oh goodness. Yeah. I love green chili. Listen, I eat green chili almost with almost every meal we make at home. And right. I'm either, put the jalapenos with some oil and put it on the grill to roast a little bit and peel it and eat it with my meal, or, and I will just bite into it just like that, or put some cholula on my eggs with some green chili as well. Man, I'm putting everything on it. So
yeah. People don't believe me. I tell them all the time. You go in, when we go up to Albuquerque regularly, visit family, visit my wife's side of the family, and they don't believe me that it's on everything there. It's on the pizza. It's on everything.
Jalapenos, jalapenos on the pizza. And listen, hey, my wife, she's full white, so I believe she got into this phase like, hey, I'm eating. Hey, you make me a green chili too, and she gets mad if I don't make her a jalapeno as well. She gets mad at me. So I think I taught her right to hey, this is how you eat it. So
well, that's awesome. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. So, Coach, this has been great. Loved having you on. You gave us a lot of great info just in terms of, your program, the NAIA. Obviously, we had some fun with you just right now with Counterattack. But, the truth of it is, I just wanted to commend you and tell you that, appreciate everything that you've done for your program, for your girls this year, because very few, I'm not saying you're the only one, but very few schools, very few programs, very few teams can say that they've really had to endure what you've had to endure this year in terms of, on top of obviously everyone's in the pandemic, but all the other additional restrictions and constraints and protocols, and just being able, just flat out being told you can't do things while other schools in your conference or other schools in the surrounding states around you are being able to do what you're being told you can't do. So just wanted to commend you on that, and say that I appreciate, I can tell you guys are going to be ready for the fall season. So congratulations on keeping, on staying the course, keeping your girls program on the course. And just wanted to, before we go, just wanted to throw it back out to you. Any final thoughts, anything you wanted to share with our listeners, anything before we go?
Yeah, I mean, I just I appreciate you having me. I think it was very sudden you just reached out to me about 2-3 days ago, and hey, I want you on my podcast. Let's make it work. And it's truly an honor to be on some type of platform like this, and to kind of expose what our program's about, and to kind of give others a deeper a listening on how things are kind of ran with NAI, and specifically our program. So, this is definitely an awesome tool to kind of utilize for those that, need answers and want answers, and kind of get a more in-depth analysis of, how everything is with NAI and our program. So, I condemn you as well on taking your time, and, I'm sure, you have family time that would love to spend time with you right now, but, hey, I mean, you're doing all of this, and, I think it's pretty awesome. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. No, as much as I value family time, they're perfectly okay with me just being away. They're like, we don't need you, Dad. You're good. It's always between either the Bachelorette or something else, or some singing show is on or something. So this time of day, I tend to be an afterthought. So
that's what you got to do. And also a reminder to everybody that, is watching as well. I mean, we previously mentioned on this, but yes, we're not the only program that's still recruiting right now for 21. So if you're a 2021 and you're either a GCO transfer that you're still waiting on a home, or a senior that just graduated and you still, you're thinking about giving up on your dream to play at the next level because no one has reached out or this and that, hey, we're not the only program that still needs 2021s, I promise you. So there's other schools, especially NAIA schools, junior colleges, that we're still all in search, majority still in search for 2021s. And so all it takes is for you to do a little homework, research, make calls, send emails, check your emails first. No
ghosting, right?
Yeah, no ghosting. I hate that. It's my biggest pet peeve. But
absolutely. Can't stress that enough. Absolutely. So, all right, Coach. Well, hey, we appreciate you. Thank you for being on with us. We're excited to have you on, and especially with kind of short notice, but we're excited to have you on here on the 50/50 podcast. And again, for our listeners, definitely look up, do your research in terms of the NAIA. Obviously, there's more out there besides just the NCAA and the NJCAA, but very high level of play. And, and they do, just like D1 and D2, they also offer both academic and athletics scholarship aid. So do your research on that. And Coach, before we go, I know we did put it on here earlier, but do you have any upcoming camps or any info you need to plug as far as your program goes?
No camps. It's been a while since having a camp and stuff like that. However, I will be attending camps around the area. So I usually be up at UNM Texas Tech, I'll be at. They have a camp this weekend. However, I can't. I'm not going to be able to make it, but I will be at the 2 camps hopefully in July that they have. So definitely take a look at the camps that are offered throughout the region. I'm sure UTEP might have a camp that you can look at. New Mexico State. But us smaller institutions, we kind of tag along on these bigger camps, and we work and we like to, I've signed one of my all-star forwards from the Texas Tech camps. I saw her next week. She's on a visit. Following week she committed. So I mean, all it takes is for you to get out there. And if you want to invest into your future, I mean, you got to make a little sacrifice and investment yourself. So you just got to do some research.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm for sure. Feel free to share that info with me, Coach. We'll make sure we get that out there as far as what camps you'll be attending. And sure. I know you mentioned UTEP. I know they put something out today. They're going to be having, I think what's really going to be maybe under this new coaching staff, their first actual college ID camp that they've had out here. I think
awesome.
August 21st, I think it is.
Okay.
20th or 21st. Don't quote me on that. I think it's
okay.
That was the 50/50 podcast retweeted that earlier in the day. So for sure. So wishing you nothing but the best, Coach. Thank you for being here. And for our listeners, again, get out there, do your research. For our student athletes, they're still actively looking for 2021s. Okay. So again, you got to get past that D1 or bust, mentality because there's so much more out there. The real goal is to be part of the that 7% that plays collegiate soccer. That's what the ultimate goal is, and being able to find what is the right fit for you in terms of, academically, geographically, all of those components. Okay, so
right.
So again, you can find us, for our listeners, you can find us both on Twitter and on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter at 50_50 pod and on Instagram at 50_50 podcast. You can also find all our latest podcasts. They first hit YouTube, so you can find us. Just search at 50_50 podcast. You can find us there as well. Thank you again for all your support. You're the reason why we do it. And until the next time, keep downloading and keep listening.